The Experiential Fiction. Satish was in his study room with his laptop and was trying to write a story involving a person without any money in his pocket. His protagonist, Prem Nath, lost his family and complete property in the floods that swept the entire village. The only survivor from the village, Prem Nath, got a helping hand from the government. But Prem Nath had got setbacks not only on the financial side but on the emotional front also. After pulling on for the last 4 years, then Prem Nath was completely broke. His unstable mind had deprived him of any job. Satish wanted to describe his pathetic condition and the emotional loneliness of Prem. He started typing his words. But his thought process was not progressing. He was not able to imagine the mental and emotional condition of a lonely person without a rupee in his pocket. Satish stretched his mind but nothing was working. He postponed his writing. After a couple of days, Satish tried again but without any luck. He was opening his laptop and closing it down without writing a single word. In such a state, 15 days had passed. His future novel was stuck up at the initial characterization. He discussed this with his wife Vidya. But he could not progress. Very upset, Satish was scratching his brain. But ideas were not coming to his mind. All of a sudden, with a smile on his face, he called Vidya. "I got an idea. Not about how Prem Nath would think over the matter. My idea will let me experience the thought process of Prem Nath. How? I will leave our house with just 100 rupees in my pocket. I will not take up any job pretending incapable of doing any work. That will let me enter the exact situation of Prem Nath, and will give me the idea of the state of my protagonist's mind, to write something very realistic far away from imaginative ideas. I will be away in such a situation for 100 days. After 100 days, I will return. But till then I will not have any contact with you. I will not carry even my cell phone with me." "What nonsense! This appears very impractical for me," Vidya protested. "See, after my first novel, which has taken the literary world by storm, readers' expectations about my next novel are very high. If it appears even the slightest unrealistic, it will be rejected and my entire reputation will go to dust. But if you can't tolerate this hardship or bear the situation, do you promise you will come back? Will you keep in touch with me daily and let me know your position? How can I contact you? If I do, that means I am in a safe situation. Then the thought process will not be realistic, authentic." Satish explained. "I can understand your line of thinking. But I am very tense." Vidya. "See, Vidya, for our next novel to be better than the earlier one, I cannot compromise on anything." "I agree. But don't worry. Let me jump into the well of experience. I will certainly come back as the winner. But the treasure I will bring back will be of enormous value." "Where will you go?" Vidya. "I don't know. How will you write down your experience?" "That will be such an experience that all my feelings, state of emotions will be stored permanently in my memory. After return, I will put it down on the laptop." "But Vidya, no one else should know about my plan. I will leave the house on 1st February, and will be back on 12th May. On 1st February, Satish left the house with just 100 rupees in his pocket. Vidya with a heavy heart bid him bye and wished him the best. As the days were passing, Vidya was getting tenser and tenser. She used to stare at Satish's mobile lying on the table. Whenever his friends called, Vidya used to pick up the call and answer it with a fake statement that he has gone to work and forgot his mobile in the house only. On 12th May morning, Vidya heard a knock on the door. She opened the door. She found Satish with wildly grown hair and beard, standing at the door. With utmost pleasure, she let out a shriek, "Satish!" Satish entered. Vidya made tea for him immediately. She arranged for cleaning up help, a shaving set, bathing material, and a clean set of clothes. Very quickly Satish turned himself into a civilized man. While having lunch, Satish shared all his experiences with Vidya. After relaxing for some time, Satish said, "Vidya, now my next mission starts. I will get myself locked into my study room. I will start writing my story. Please see to it that I do not get disturbed for 8 to 10 days." Satish entered the study room and opened up the laptop. His hands started typing out the story that was streaming from the treasure of a collection of experiences during the last 100 days. One after another, weeks passed in writing, rewriting, and editing the story. Finally, when Satish was happy with the outcome, the story was submitted to the publisher. After doing all the necessary seasoning, it was published, titled Penniless. And the response from the readers was ineffable. Some 1,000 copies were sold out in just 15 days. The reprints were also in demand. Satish had reached the top of popularity. Elated Satish was chased by publishers all over the world for yet another novel. Satish's thought engine started running rapidly. After a couple of months, some idea struck his mind. I have got a good idea. But I am not sure whether it would receive acceptance from my readers. I want to write about prisoners. Let me start writing, he told his wife Vidya. Satish got absorbed into his new novel. He was writing tirelessly and reading it repeatedly to judge the impact of the story. But even after 3 months, the story had not met Satish's approval. He was writing and rewriting, but the story was not turning out as expected. Satish was getting upset. Vidya, the storyline is okay, but it lacks the punch. It is not riveting. Do you think so? Vidya exclaimed. Don't you think so? Satish said, I am not at all happy with the main plot. It appears very thin. Can I suggest something? Consider the emotional state of a prisoner who has been awarded a death sentence. The day before the execution, his emotional state would be sensational and can generate a lot of drama and strong feelings. You can think over this subject, Vidya said. Satish jumped out of his seat. Yes. That is fantastic. I could not agree with you more. Thank you, darling. I am thrilled. Satish shifted his focus to a new angle and resumed his writing. A few more weeks passed. He had finished writing several pages but had now reached an unforeseen hurdle. He could not imagine the actual state of the criminal's mind. Satish was falling short of reaching the depth of the emotional state, the sentiments of the convict about his loved ones, and his family. He was convinced that for the novel to be realistic, the author needed to live through the situation. That is how his previous novel Penniless touched the hearts of the readers and proved to be a thundering success. He wanted to do it again. Satish wanted to experience the emotional turbulence of the convict. But how? He took up the issue with Vidya. Oh. That does not seem to be very difficult. You know my college mate, Shashank. He is the jailer in Shanti Nagar jail. We can talk to him about this, she said. Great. Give him a ring right away and fix an appointment, as early as possible. Satish was impatient about this meeting. On the day of the appointment, Satish and Vidya reached the jail. The security guard guided them to Shashank's house. A nice bungalow near the stone wall jail was a paradoxical picture. What a great pleasure to see you both. Tell me what brings you here? Shashank exclaimed. Vidya initiated the discussion. Shashank, you know Satish is a writer. Yes, of course. I have read his last novel Penniless. That was wonderful. Thanks, but he needs your help with his new novel that revolves around a convict who has been sentenced to death. Oh my God. How can a stone-hearted person like me help you with your writing? Shashank, jokes apart, Satish needs your help in getting in touch with a convict who has been sentenced to death. He wants to know the exact state of mind of such a convict. I can always do that. These days the punishment of hanging to death is very rare. But 1 or 2 of the jailed convicts do get hanged. The murder has to be cold-blooded. Only then do they get such extreme punishment. I will introduce you to 1 or 2 of these convicts. You can talk to them and collect all the information you need. No, Shashank. An interview won't help to get the true picture of the person's feelings. I want to be with the person for at least a few days and be friends with him. I will get a chance to peep into his heart to feel the actual state of his mind, Satish said. How is it possible? Shashank was puzzled. But Satish needed this, badly. You are our best friend and have the necessary authority. You can think of some solution. And as Vidya said, only you can help us out. Okay. I will think about it. Give me a week. I will check out all the possibilities within the framework of the law. Let's meet again in the coming week, Shashank said. Tell me about your daughter, Ichana. Is she in Texas or Boston? Ichana is fine. She is in Boston. Her daughter is growing up fast. Last year, we attended her birthday party when the family was in India. How old is the child? 6 or 7? Yes. She is 7 years now. Just yesterday we talked. I told her we will be meeting jailer uncle soon. She remembers you and Sunita very much. Sunita had prepared such a lovely pineapple cake for the birthday. When is Sunita coming back from Puri? Is her brother's marriage over? No. The marriage is the day after tomorrow. I am flying tomorrow morning and will return a day after the marriage. Sunita will be there for 1 more week. Okay. Satish, what would you have? Vodka or whiskey? Nothing. I have to drive back. After a tasty dinner planned by the cook, and a very entertaining evening, Satish and Vidya returned home. If Shashank can manage something and I can be in touch with my protagonist, it will be great, Satish said. After 4 days, Satish received a call from Shashank. He had found some solution. He was coming to dinner that evening and said he would discuss the matter in detail. At 7:30 the bell rang. Vidya opened the door. Shashank was there as he had promised. Shashank, do you remember Kananika? Vidya said while guiding him to the living room. Yes, of course. Why, what happened? Shashank. Just yesterday, she called. I told her about you. She was curious to know more about you. Satish, do you know, Kananika was after Shashank? She was so much mad after him and was crazy about Shashank's style. She used to fall for Shashank's dressing and everything that he did. And what about Shashank? Satish. Oh. He used to ignore her. But she wouldn't give up. Vidya. Excuse me. Shashank, what is your preference? Vodka or whiskey? Satish. Whiskey, single malt, Shashank said while taking a seat. Vidya, come on. Don't tell stories. Shashank added. Satish, keeping the glass of whiskey in front of Shashank, said, Here you are. Thank you. Shashank picked up the glass. Not only Kananika but so many other girls had lost their hearts to him. And what about him? To whom had he given his heart? Satish asked. I don't know. Vidya said. Who? I was a very sincere student. Never looked at any girl. But at the same time, I never looked at the books also, Shashank said with boisterous laughter. Oh yes. Vidya had a cunning smile. Okay. Now to the main task of the day. Shashank avoided further digs. With a glass of whiskey in hand, Shashank said, I had to think a lot about the situation. And this is the solution I have come up with. Well, Satish, you will be charged with double murder and will be sentenced to hanging until dead. You will be lodged in the same room where an actual convict is counting his last days. The date of your hanging will be a week after that of the convict. 4 days after the hanging of the actual convict, we will receive an acceptance of your petition for clemency from higher authorities and you will be released. Are you okay with this idea? Most importantly, no one else should know about this plan. It should remain strictly amongst the three of us. Satish, this will be a unique experience for you. This is sure to result in an amazing thriller. After a sumptuous dinner, Shashank left. Looks like an excellent idea. Satish was very happy. But I am scared. We are taking a big risk, said Vidya. What risk? Inside the jail, convicts are not tortured. They get food and all the essentials. Don't worry at all. I am thrilled, Satish. But I am worried. What if something goes wrong? Vidya asked. What can misfire? There is no chance of anything going wrong. Satish was excited about the plan. The execution of the real convict was 3 weeks away. As planned, after a week on 10th April, Satish said bye to Vidya. He was to be back home a month later. Satish reached Shashank's house. When he was taken to the cell, he was stripped of all the things on him, including his mobile phone. He was given the dress of a convict. Satish looked at himself. He had goosebumps. He was happy that Vidya did not see him in that attire. While entering the cell, the charge sheet was read out. It said Satish had committed cold-blooded double murder of a man and his wife. The court had fixed 7th May 2001 as his execution day. Inside the cell, Hornaji Rao, the convict, was sitting on a stool. Satish was also given a small stool. The door to the unit was then locked. You come out to the mess at 12 when the bell rings for lunch. You will be given a chatai, mat, to sleep for the night, a glass to drink water, and a bowl and a plate for your meal. You will clean your plate yourself after every meal. You will take a bath every day before 8 in the morning, after which you will get breakfast. Any questions? The attendant left without even waiting for Satish's reply. Nobody spoke for about 10 to 12 minutes. I am Purna Rao. What is your name? In a grim voice, Satish told Rao his name. What is your sentence? Rao wanted to know. On 7th May, correct up, Satish said as he looked up. They are sending me up on 27th April, Rao said. Double murder. 2 brothers were after me for my piece of land. For 2 years I tolerated it. But then I could not bear it any longer. They had come to my house to pressurize me to sell my land to them. I once again refused. They started arguing with me. They were threatening me to quit the place or face the consequences. I got upset. Somebody threatening me, Purna Rao? I picked up the sickle which was near to me. I charged up and straightway cut his throat. His brother picked up the sickle and charged toward me. I held his hand and twisted it. He dropped the sickle. I grabbed it and put straight onto his neck. He moved and blood oozed out. His throat was cut. He also died instantly. I did not run away from my house. After an hour, the police came and arrested me. My wife and children were crying uncontrollably. I admitted to my crime in front of the judge, who did not hesitate in giving me the death sentence. Are you feeling bad now? Satish asked. Yes, when I think of my family and parents. They are left without any support. I do not regret killing the brothers. But I feel irresponsible that I left my family to fend for themselves. I do not know how they will take care of themselves. Satish saw tears in Rao's eyes. It was Satish's turn to tell Rao his story. I am an engineer. I was living happily with my 2 children and wife. I murdered my neighbor, who was also educated. But he was in the company of bad friends. He had taken about a lakh of rupees loan from me. His wife used to complain about his ill treatment to her. He had stolen all her jewelry and lost everything in gambling. Once his wife told my wife that her husband had threatened her that if she did not hand over her Mangal Sutra, he would slit her throat and take it. My wife pleaded with me to prevent this atrocity. I went to their house. The door was open. I entered. The room was empty. Some movement was noticed in the kitchen. I rushed there. I saw, my neighbor had a knife in his hand and he was charging toward his wife to get the last of her jewelry, the Mangal Sutra, which is a very sacred ornament for ladies. I shouted at the person. He was in a horrible mood. He looked at me and charged at me, saying that was their private matter and I should go away. I refused to budge. I insisted he drop the knife. He shouted, "Why are you interested in her?" He looked at his wife and yelled, "You prostitute. You must have had an affair with this man." He stabbed his wife twice. She collapsed in a puddle of blood. He then turned over to me and attacked me with the knife. I was swift in ducking that, but he fell in such a way that the open knife pierced his stomach and he died instantly. 2 murders. And I was the only witness. I informed the police. My wife was baffled. She was shocked. In court, I was charged with double murder for killing both the husband and the wife. My pleading innocence was of no avail. The judge sentenced me to death, accusing me of stabbing the couple in an attempt to recover my money lent to him. With a grave face, Satish added, "They have booked me on 7th May. Satish noticed that Rao had total sympathy for him, despite his precarious position. The bell rang and they had to go to the mess with their plate and bowl to have lunch. Slowly, Satish realized Rao was not a hardcore culprit. Superficially, he was showing up to the world that he was a hardcore criminal and did not regret his action of killing. But from within, he was very soft and repenting his action of killing, though the murdered persons deserved it. They became good friends. Purna Rao once said, "Even though you are educated, you had to go through this ordeal. I am a born farmer. We put our sweat and blood to produce the paddy and some grains and we are happy. That is the way we farmers live. But any injustice or atrocity we cannot tolerate." Satish and Purna Rao gradually became thick friends. Satish was getting exactly what he was searching for. Rao had let Satish enter his deeper feelings. April 27th was approaching fast. Purna Rao was getting upset thinking about the problems his family would have to face. On 25th April, news came that Shashank had gone on an emergency leave as his father-in-law had expired. Manoy Dige had taken over his place. Satish was so absorbed in understanding his protagonist that this news did not mean anything to him. On the 27th, Purna Rao was woken up early. He was asked to finish his morning duties. After his bath, he was given fresh clothes to wear. At around 6, he was escorted to the gallows. Satish was very sad. His very close friend was being taken away. He hugged Purna Rao intensely. He could not control his sob. Rao said, "Don't worry, my brother. I will go up and book a place in heaven for you where we can share our feelings. Just a matter of a few days. We will meet soon." Purna Rao left this world. Satish was grieved. "Take courage, Mr. Satish. 8 days more and you will also have to follow the same procedure. After all, you people are heartless. When you killed someone, your sensitivity had gone for a walk. Now, when your turn comes, you're feeling sorry," Manoy Dige, the new jailer, remarked. Before leaving, Dige said, "Mr. Satish, 7th May is also very near. You also get ready for the departure." Satish was shocked to hear his statement. "Sir, when is Shashank sir coming back? Why, is he going to free you?" "Mr. Satish, Shashank is out of the country. And he won't be back for 6 months. So, forget about him. You won't see him in this life. Are you serious, sir? Yes, of course. But look at destiny. An uneducated Porna Rao got hung with a rope, and an educated person like you also will be with the same rope. Education or no education, the animal instinct is the same in every person. Sir, can I speak to my wife? Yes, why not? The last desire of the person who is going to leave this world is always fulfilled. Can I give her a message? I want to see her urgently. Satish, I will give her your message that you want to see her urgently. But I find this word urgently funny. Array, you are left with only a few days. Everything is very urgent. Only a few days. So, I will contact her immediately and give her your message. Okay? Satish was alarmed. This new jailer did not know the plan they had executed for his next novel to be realistic and authentic. Satish decided to tell Vidya to come here immediately. She would make the situation clear to Mr. Digay. In the evening, Digay came for the visit. Satish was anxious about the status of the message. When Digay came to his cell, Satish looked at him expectantly. Digay said, Satish, we could not get the line despite our trying several times. Don't worry. Tomorrow, I will send the messenger with the message to Mrs. Satish. He will bring her along by evening. Digay left the cell and asked the attendant to see if Satish wanted anything. Satish was getting tense now. Why did Shashank have to leave the country now? The next day, Digay took a round in the jail only in the evening. When he came to Satish's cell, he talked to the guard on duty and started leaving. Satish was annoyed that Digay's words had no value. He had promised that his man would bring Vidya along with him, and there was no information about it. Satish called out to Digay, Sir. Sir, what happened? My wife did not come? Digay turned back and came close to Satish's cell. Slowly he whispered, she is very busy these days. When she gets time, she will try to see you, she said. Satish was shocked. What would Vidya be busy with? What is more important than my life? Has she lost interest in me? In the night, sleeping on the chatai mat, Satish's mind was wandering over some unwelcome thoughts. Satish wanted to experience the emotional turbulence of the convict. Could that be the ploy between Shashank and Vidya, to get rid of me with this plan? They spent 4 years in the same class in science college. That day at our dining table, he skillfully avoided my question about him who he was behind during his college days. Oh my God! Where have I landed myself? In the morning I must try and tell Digay Sir about their plan. Deciding this course of action for the next day, Satish slept. In the morning, the guard inquired whether Satish wanted any specific thing to be done. Any unfulfilled desire he was holding? In that case, the jail would try to satisfy those things. Every staff member passing by this cell had a very sympathetic look at Satish. Satish was getting disturbed by their pitying stares. In the night, the watchman said, Don't worry, Sahib. Everything will be all right. All the staff members are perturbed that an educated, highly cultured person like you could commit a murder. One wonders if there is a God. Now sleep well, Sahib. Last few nights in this life. Satish was getting upset with such remarks. So, these are the last days of my life. I should have spent my life a little differently. I should not have taken risks such as this. Satish, lost in such thoughts, went off to sleep. The next day morning during his visit, Digay came to Satish's cell. He tried his last effort. Digay, Sir, I want to tell you something. Digay looked at him sympathetically. Came closer. Okay. Tell me, Digay said. Sir, I am a writer and the protagonist of my new novel is a convict to be hanged. Satish explained the entire plan to Digay Sir. But unfortunately, Shashank Sir had to go on leave. And here I am stuck. So please believe me. I have not committed any murder. I just wanted to get prepared to write the novel. Please, do not arrange to hang me. But where is your wife? She also did not care for you. I am sorry. But I have to follow instructions from the higher authorities. Be ready to leave this world the day after tomorrow. The next day Satish was given a special meal. But he was extremely disheartened. He recollected all his plans. They all were doomed. His love for his wife proved to be disastrous. One after another, negative thoughts were taking charge of his mind. How much I loved Vidya. Even if she was away for just a day, I would miss her so much. Every matter we used to discuss. It was not that we used to agree on every point. But we saw to it that the other person was convinced. When I got a big check from the publisher, the first thing I did was that I bought gold bangles for her. Whenever my story was getting rejected, We both used to feel extremely sad. When I was ill and admitted to the hospital, she took care of me during my stay in the hospital, and even, after I returned home, for the following couple of months. We laughed together. We cried together. She was my better half, in a real sense. But now, she has planned to get rid of me. I will still miss her in heaven. And my daughter, Bachana. How much I loved her. I wanted to dedicate my next novel to her, for her inspiration. That desire remained unfulfilled. And the son-in-law, and a sweet little granddaughter. I loved them too. I wanted to gift an advanced, state-of-the-art telescope to him. All these plans have crashed. Now I will be hated for committing a murder. All the love and respect they had for me will be reduced to nothing. The entire society will look at me as a murderer. I will be condemned by everyone. I will be the topic of gossip. All relatives and my fast friends will distance themselves from me. No one, not even my loved ones, will understand me. They will consider me a murderer and will try to forget me completely. I am finished. Totally finished. In the morning, he was woken up early. After the bath, he was given new clothes. At 5:30, he was escorted to the gallows. A black mask was put around his head. He could not see anything. He was then taken to the spot. A narrow diameter noose was looped around his neck. Satish was told to think of his most loved person. Satish was confused. So far, he had considered Vidya as his most loved person. But then he hated her. She betrayed him and plotted to get rid of him. How could Vidya be his most loved one any longer? Ichana? Yes. He loved her very much. But after she heard of his committing murder, would she love him still? No. No. No one in this world loves him, and so how could he love them? Suddenly, Satish heard some quick movement of people. Everything was dark. Countdown started. 3, 2, 1. And, instead of rope around his neck getting tighter, the mask was taken off. And Satish saw Vidya, Shashank, Digay, and some other persons in front of him. Shashank came forward and said, "Satish, this was a real-life experience for you. Now we want a wonderful novel from you which would be remembered and appreciated for a very long time." Satish was shocked and delighted. He saw Vidya wiping her eyes. She came forward. Satish hugged her passionately. Then Satish came down the platform supported by Vidya. After reaching home, Satish resumed writing the novel.